I finally managed to align free time with good weather this May and get some flights in at Mount Prevost. Earlier back in April, I jumped on the ferries and came out for 2 weeks, facilitating my partner's flights from the island to Dauphin, Manitoba to visit her parents. So even though the weather started to look really crappy, we had booked her flight, so I had to go to get her there. She's off. Nearly every day of that 2 weeks was rain and wind. But I did manage to attend a fun kiting session over at Parksville in very strong wind. So the layout at Prevost is 2 launches facing south and southeast. The one I crashed on was the southeast in an easterly wind, as described in a previous video. I would be more cautious this time. The LZ is right in front, framed in with 2 sets of power lines. So a newbie to the site must be careful to clear the ridge and therefore the large hydro towers just below. I don't like to fly over high-tension power lines for obvious reasons, but sometimes it seems that's where the thermals are when scratchy everywhere else. The golf course is an alternate, but only for emergencies, as the owners probably would prefer that we not interfere with the golfers there. In different wind directions, this LZ could become rotary and thus dangerous, whereas the golf course is very open. I was lucky enough to help Brian and Steve put up a new windsock. The other one had blown off over the winter, and I wasn't going to launch without it, so really had no choice. It seemed 3 people were needed in any case, as that pole is heavy. The wind was more south, so we decided to use the grassier launch, which is great because I wasn't too keen on launching from Injury Rock for a second time in a row. For a first flight of the season, I decided to use the trusty old Advance Alpha 4. It's a heavy old duffel bag, but bulletproof.
It's just another lazy day on the island. Woohoo! The birds are all out singing the blues. Clouds gather, looks like it'll be raining. Looks like I'll always be here with you.
Oh, a bit of lift? Maybe not.
Can't change it, I just can't change a thing.
Right away, things felt pretty sinky, with the odd spurt of lift here and there. I was just happy to be off the ground for the first time in 6 months, an emotional recharge, if you will. My 2 meter per second alarm was going off constantly. The view is grand, with very little smoke in the air. We have been lucky thus far on the coast. Even though there are many forest fires burning in Alberta and in northern BC interior, smoke has been very light so far. I'm sure that'll change. The grass on the LZ is quite tall at the moment, but apart from some minor contour variants, is pretty flat from what I could see. Once there, I realized I still had quite a bit of altitude, so away from the mountain, sink wasn't as bad.
Can't change it, I just can't change a thing.
This is nice.
I just can't change a thing. It's just another crazy day in my life. Nothing ever turns out the way that you think. One moment's ecstatic, next I'm crying. But somehow I always come back from the brink. Can't change it, I just can't change a thing. Can't change it, I just can't change a thing. It's just another lazy day.
Now there's very little wind actually. Yes! I finally flew Prevost. Woohoo! For this flight I'll use my little Superiona too. This is the wing I did my SIV on, like to use for hiking as my entire pack is only 26 pounds, and the thermal conditions seem, well, promising, so why not? I must admit I had some anxiety about using the Rocky launch, but the wind direction is less east than it was when I wiped out last year. Okay, see you down there. Woohoo! That's better. I started to head toward the cairn, but hit massive sinks, so turned away. There was a little asymmetric collapse, which on this wing is pretty rare, being so weighted. Get straight out. I lost a lot of altitude pretty quickly there. Well, didn't even have a chance to get over there. I hit an immediate sink. Boy, it's punchy. Punchy little thermals for sure. There's something. Woohoo! Let's go in this way. Whoa. At best. I'll be happy once I get over that ridge. punchy little things. I could turn this one, but those power lines make me paranoid. Sink City means thermal approaching.
Where the hell is he? Fell out of it.
I'm gonna go try somewhere else, I think. Since staying a couple of weeks at my parents' place back in April, I packed on 6 pounds, somehow, and only managed to lose 1 pound before returning here, so I'm fairly overweight on this little 18-meter wing. With that in mind, I went out and towards the LD. I am unfamiliar with the dynamics here, so best err on the side of caution. I had pulled out the speed bar just in case. There seems to be a decent wind from the left. May need to penetrate. I hadn't realized how strong the wind was, and as a result, all of the thermals were very tilted. Had I thought of that, probably could have stayed in one. While playing with my camelback nipple thing, I hadn't noticed I was seriously getting blown off course. I could see by the parallax I wasn't going to make it over those trees, so must go around them. Speed bar will get me into the trees quicker. I have heard it's not good to land on this guy's property, plus it's behind a wall of trees. So not an option. I almost got stuck in behind these trees right here. I expected some rotor and venturi in the gap, but was still high enough to be less affected by them. Once again, I'm just happy to fly. I'll be heading inland for some big mountain thermals in a couple of weeks. See you there.